Okay, so let's take a look at Achieve 3.6, number 13. Of course, 3.6 introduces the derivatives of the six trigonometric functions. And in this particular one, notice you're asked to find the second derivative with respect to theta. Our independent variable here is the Greek variable theta. If the function is f of theta equals 14 times theta times sine of theta. Notice these are multiplications going on here, 14 times theta times sine of theta. This is not sine times theta here, though. This is sine of theta, right? Sine is a function, the name of a function. You're plugging theta into the function. So there's three things we're multiplying together. 14 is just a constant multiple. So when I take the derivative the first time to find the first derivative, I'm going to think of this as a product of two functions, 14 theta times sine theta. So using the product rule, I take the derivative of 14 theta times sine theta plus 14 theta times the derivative of sine theta. Well, the derivative of 14 theta with respect to theta is just 14, right? And the derivative of sine theta, you have hopefully learned in this section, is cosine theta. And so we can now simplify that down to this. There's our first derivative. Okay, well, when I take the derivative of this, I'll get the second derivative. The derivative of 14 times sine of theta is 14 times cosine of theta. Again, the derivative of sine of theta is cosine theta. 14 is just a constant multiple. So, using the constant multiple rule, we just pull that out, multiply it by the derivative of sine, which is cosine. Here, I have a product rule again. So again, I'm going to treat this as 14 theta, this time times cosine theta. So I take the derivative of 14 theta times cosine theta plus 14 theta, 14 theta, derivative of 14 theta times cosine theta plus 14 theta times the derivative of cosine theta. Make sure I say that right. So the derivative of 14 theta again is 14. Derivative of cosine theta is -1 times sine theta. Okay. So you want to make sure you watch the lecture video and we talk about how to derive the derivative. In fact, I ask you, and I think in the video, to do it on your own. I think I derived the derivative of cosine, derivative of sine rather, and ask you to derive the derivative of cosine using the limit definition. But after that, you should just memorize these two and know them all, know those two. They're not hard to learn. From these two, you can get the derivative of the remaining four trig functions: tangent, cotangent, secant, and cosecant. So again, you should look at the lecture video and I show you how to do that, basically just using the quotient rule. Okay, cleaning this up, 14 times cosine theta, and then this negative comes out in front, -14 theta cosine theta. You should simplify always if you can, obvious simplifications. This is clearly like terms. 14 cosine theta plus 14 cosine is a total of 28 cosine theta. Okay, now usually when you're writing this out, you can just write cosine with theta without parentheses around like the theta. I mean, this is like f of theta. That's the notation we're thinking of. So we get so lazy, we usually just write that way, which is fine. I don't know if Achieve requires you to put it in parentheses like that, but you might want to check that on a test or anything. This would be fine to leave it without the parentheses there. Okay, so there is your second derivative of this trig function. I hope this is helpful for you.